Hello, everybody. We are live. Welcome and thank you very much for joining us this morning for our Universal Credit Help to Claim live online chat. Hope that everybody can hear me. Please make sure your volume is turned up. And remember, we are live. We are subject to technology, Wi-Fi, etc. Hopefully nothing will go wrong, but if we do vanish from your screens, please do stick around and we will get things up and running again as quickly as we can. We do have papers with us as a prompt, so hopefully you won't hear too much paper rustling. We'll try to keep that to a minimum. So firstly, who are we? We are the two Citizens Advice services in West Sussex. We are Citizens Advice in West Sussex, North, South, East, and our partners and friends, Citizens Advice, Arran and Chichester. And I'd like to introduce you to the team that are taking part in this session today. So firstly, please could I bring on screen Dipesh?
Hi, hello.
Morning, Dipesh. So Dipesh is a Universal Credit Help to Claim advisor. He's extremely experienced. He's been working with us for several years and actually started with us as a volunteer. So we're really delighted to have him with us today to give us his expertise. And then behind the scenes, we have Paul.
Hello.
Paul is managing all the technical wizardry that goes on behind this broadcast. And we also have Sandra, who is supporting us on social media. So this is the team. And finally, I am Claire, and I'm going to be hosting today. So a little bit of background about who we are and what we do. We are two charities supporting people in West Sussex with problems that they may be facing, such as problems with benefits, debt, housing, and much more. And throughout the pandemic, we have been helping people, particularly with worries around money, employment, such as redundancy and furlough, and making sure that everybody has access to the help that they need. We have been part of the county, district and borough council's community hubs, supporting people who are isolated or vulnerable and working with many partners in the local area. All our advice is completely free, confidential, independent and impartial, no matter what your circumstances are or what your problem is. And at the moment, we are offering advice by email, web chat and phone, and we do have some limited face-to-face and video appointments too. But please visit our website for the latest information. So what are we doing today? We are all here to talk about Universal Credit. And to give a bit of background to that, Universal Credit was introduced a few years ago to replace 6 different benefits: child tax credit and working tax credits, housing benefit, income support, and also income-based job seekers and employment support allowances. It supports you if you are on a low income or out of work. And we know that there has been a big increase in the number of people claiming Universal Credit in the last year. So 7 in 10 people who sought benefits advice from Citizens Advice in the first 9 months of the pandemic had never contacted Citizens Advice before. And this may include thousands of young people, for example, who might have been working in retail and hospitality and who may not have built up any savings, so struggling to pay rent and bills. And we know certainly locally, Universal Credit has been one of our highest inquiry areas since the pandemic began. But it can be confusing claiming and knowing whether you are eligible for any benefits. And it's also important to remember that Universal Credit might not be the right benefit for you. And we will talk a little bit more about this later. Citizens Advice has a special help to claim service for Universal Credit. It's called Universal Credit Help to Claim, if you want to Google it. It's completely free to use, and like all our advice is independent, impartial and confidential. There's a phone line that you can use to chat with experienced advisors and also a web chat service, and we'll share all the details for those. But locally in West Sussex, we do also have some face-to-face and video appointments, especially for help to claim. You just need to contact us if you would like an appointment, and we can get that arranged for you. Our face-to-face appointments are limited. We have put very careful hygiene and social distancing measures in place to keep you safe. And you can find out more about all of this just having a look at our website, advicewestsussex.org.uk. So today I'm going to be asking Dipesh some questions to help us understand more about the claim process, eligibility, and more. We want to help you feel confident about what you need to do, but also to know that help is out there if you are at all confused or worried. We will help everybody, regardless of situation or background. The first thing we want to say is that before you claim any benefit, always check what you're eligible for, and that claiming is the right thing for you to do. And Citizens Advice can help you to understand how you will be best off with your income. We have an online benefit calculator that you can use, which is on our website, and I think that the URL will be shared as part of this session. But if you're not confident using an online tool, our advisors can help you to work this out as well. Worry about money and confusion about how it all works can lead to real stress, and it can affect your well-being and your relationships. And we want to help stop that from happening. And getting advice is the first step. So we're going to talk about how do you know if it's the right benefit for you? If you're already on benefits, should you switch to universal credit? And this may not be the best thing for you to do. How our help to claim service can help you with the process of applying, identification you'll need and documents you need to provide to support your claim, how quickly payments come through, and much more. We'll also let you know how we can help if you're worried about paying your energy and fuel bills. Please note, universal credit and benefits are a complex subject area and can vary from person to person depending on your situation. So today we'll be giving very general information only, not going into individual circumstances. And remember that although the information we're giving is correct today, which is March the 10th, 2021, guidance does change and can go out of date. So please visit our website or contact us directly for the most up-to-date information. We'll be sharing links and phone numbers throughout the session. Before we properly start, we'll get there eventually, make sure you have a pen and paper handy in case you want to jot anything down. We may be able to answer a couple of questions from people watching today, so please do type your question into the comments section. We might not be able to answer all questions, but you can contact us directly for advice. But just remember, we are live on the internet, and your names can be seen when you type in the comments section. So please just have a quick think before you type. We strongly advise you not to share any personal or confidential information. If you're talking about work, please don't mention the name of your employer. And if you'd rather have a private chat with an advisor, contact us directly. So let's get going. We're all here to talk about universal credit, which is something that many people have had to apply for since COVID began. And we're just going to go through some really common questions. So firstly, could I bring Dipesh back onto the screen, please? Hello. So a common question would be, I think I need to apply for universal credit, but how do I know if it's the right benefit for me?
Well, I think that's the first thing we check for you. There are lots of benefits out there, and it can be really confusing to know which the right benefit is for you. Universal credit's means tested, so if you or your partner have a certain level of income, you might not be eligible for that. And depending on your situation, you may be eligible for other benefits like New Start Job Seekers Allowance or New Start Employment Support Allowance instead, or as well as universal credit if you've been paying national insurance contributions. We can't tell you today if universal credit's the right benefit for you. or if you'd be eligible for it, but it would depend on your individual circumstances. But if you check our website or use our benefit calculator, which I think there's a link on the page or a hyperlink on the page, or talk to our team. And if you do that before you put in a claim for benefits to make sure it's the right benefit for you, and that's especially important if you're already on benefits, because once you claim universal credit, you can't go back to those old benefits, and universal credit might not be the right benefit for you. You might be worse off on it, or you may not be eligible. We'd advise you to check on the options available to you before you apply for universal credit.
So just to reiterate, there are many different benefits. Universal credit might not be the right one for you. It is confusing. So please talk to us before you put in a claim, so we can go through your situation and advise you on what your options are. And just to say again, if you are already receiving benefits, please don't put in an application to switch to universal credit without getting advice first. As Dipesh said, you may not be better off actually on universal credit, and once you've put in that claim, you can't switch back. That's correct, isn't it, Dipesh?
That's right, yeah. So once you've submitted the claim for universal credit, you can't go back to your old benefits.
Okay, so yeah, please do contact us, use an online benefit calculator before you put in that claim. So secondly, many people want to know, can I get universal credit if I am working?
And yes, most universal credit claimants are in work, and there are many people who work and could supplement their income, but they're not claiming the benefits they're entitled to. We'd carry out a benefit check for you and see if universal credit was the best option, or if there were other benefits you might also be entitled to and could apply for.
So that's something that many people don't realise, that most people claiming universal credit are working on a low income. And many working people might be eligible to get some extra income each month, but don't actually know this. So they're not claiming what they're eligible for. We do know that since the pandemic and people being furloughed and incomes dropping, this has meant more people claiming, and for the first time as well. So drop us a line and we can help you to find out whether you're eligible for. So how can you, Citizens Advice, help me with the process of applying for universal credit?
Okay, well, most people have to claim online using the gov.uk website. That can feel daunting, especially if you're not used to using a computer, but we can talk you through the process.
So you can go through the form with people and help them to fill it in?
Yes, we can. Most people, or many of the people who call up or get in touch, just have one or two questions they need help with, but we can go through the whole process if that's something that you need.
Okay, but for people who don't have access to a computer or a smartphone or a tablet, or they just feel really unconfident using the internet and computers in general, what about those people?
Yeah, so we can help those people with a phone claim if that's most appropriate for them. Get in touch with us. Okay,
so don't be daunted by that initial process. It is something that our advisors can talk you through and set up that phone claim for you if you're not confident using a computer or you don't have access to one. So kind of related to that, I've heard I need to have an email address to apply, but I don't have email and I don't know how to use it. Does that mean that I can't apply?
No, not at all. We can help you set up an email address if you like, or if you don't have the computer skills, we can help you with a phone claim and help you get that set up.
Okay, so that's a real relief for many people. We can help you to set up an email address, but even if you have no computer skills, we can help you to organise a claim by telephone. And again, the sort of techie question, I suppose, I keep seeing about verifying my identity, which I know that I need to do to claim this benefit. But what does that mean, verify my identity? And what identification would I even need to do that?
Okay, so essentially before they pay you, Universal Credit wants to know that you exist and that it's a valid claim and that you're entitled to claim benefits. They can check this by you having you download an app to your phone and then take photos of your passport or driving license, and then you taking a selfie of yourself. Or if you've had a credit card or a loan in the past, they can check the history of that and you can answer some questions. There are often problems with that though, And if that's the case, you can have your identity verification done over the phone, whether the job centre will call you and they'll take details of your ID down. If you don't have ID, they can do something called a biographical interview, where they'll ask you questions about previous benefit claims and your address history or work history. Essentially anything that can prove that you are making a valid claim and that you are who you say you are.
Okay, so even if you are worried that you don't have appropriate ID, it's not necessarily the end of your claim, because you can have an ID interview over the phone, and they will just ask you some questions. So it may feel daunting, but actually it's not.
Yeah, don't let that put you off. Make the claim, even if you don't have the ID. We can work around that.
Okay, that's really great to know. So ideally, you would need things like a passport or a birth certificate or a driving license. But are there any other documents which can help you to verify your identity, just so we can get a really good understanding of how this works and make sure that we have everything ready?
Yeah, so things like recent utility bills, letters from a council, letters from a GP, any of that can help.
Okay, that's fantastic. And that's something that Citizens Advice can help with if somebody is really, really stuck as part of this process.
Yeah, we can talk to Universal Credit with you and see what they'll what they're prepared to accept and help you complete your ID verification, if that's something you want.
That's great. That somebody from Citizens Advice can talk to Universal Credit alongside you. So if you're feeling nervous or confused, somebody can be there to support you during that chat. Fantastic. So I've seen that you need additional evidence to make a claim. What could this be?
That's things like a tenancy agreement to prove that you have rent costs. If you don't have a tenancy agreement, then bank statements that show you've been paying your landlord account. Bank details, again, because you need to have a bank account to have the money paid into.
Okay, thank you. A question we are commonly asked: how quickly will I receive my first payment, and how often do I get paid? Okay,
it usually takes about a calendar month plus 7 days. So you submit a claim, that starts an assessment period of 1 calendar month. Any earnings or income you have in that month will count towards the calculation. There's a few exceptions. And then any elements you might be entitled to for your Universal Credit, those are also counted. And then at the end of the month, they come up with a calculation. They'll tell you how much you'll get in a week. And then 7 days later, you get that money.
Sorry, you just mentioned elements. What does that mean?
So Universal Credit's made up of different elements, and you may be entitled to some depending on your personal circumstances. So everyone's entitled to the basic standard element, and it's higher if you're over 25, lower if you're under 25.
Okay.
It's higher if you're in a couple, lower if you're single. There are children elements, and those depend on the age of the children and how many children you have. There are housing elements, disability elements. If you're a carer, there's a carer's element. So basically, they add all of those up, and then they look at your income and earnings and do the calculation from there.
Okay. So yeah, we can help you to work out what parts of Universal Credit you might be eligible for, depending on your own personal circumstances. But for most people, the payment would come about 5 weeks after they submit that initial claim. That can seem like a long time. And what help is there for people who are worried about money during that time?
If people are already on benefits, some of those will pay for 2 weeks, even after you submit your Universal Credit claim. But you can ask for an advance, which is a 1 month payment up front, but that is a loan that will then come out of your future payments for around a year. As of April, that's changing to 2 years, so you'll have 2 years to pay it back.
Okay, so you can ask for an advance on your first Universal Credit, but it's a loan and would need to be paid back over time.
Yeah.
Okay, what else can we do to support people for money during that waiting period?
In general, if you're worried about money while you're waiting for benefit payments, there are things we can help with. If you're worried about buying food, we can make help with food bank vouchers, and many people have had to use food banks in the last year.
Yeah, and actually, I'd like to go off on a bit of a tangent here quickly to let you know about some extra help that we can provide if you're worried about your finances. So we know that due to the extra pressure that people have been facing. There is more worry about paying energy and utility bills. But we can support you if you are worried about this. For example, we can arrange emergency fuel vouchers if you're on a prepayment meter, and also, in fact, emergency mobile phone top-ups and internet costs as well. We can check whether you could be on a better tariff, whether you could be using less energy in your home, and we can also check if there are grants or money available to help you pay your bills. So this could really help many, many people. If you're interested in this service, please contact us. Drop us a line by email, web chat or phone, and have a private chat with one of our advisors. But help is out there if you are worried about paying your bills and you're eligible. So back to universal credit. What things, once I've got my claim, what things do I need to do to ensure that I continue to receive it?
Okay, well, everyone who's on universal credit is given a claimant commitment, and that's what the claimant's agreeing to in return for the universal credit. It could be as little as keeping them up to date of any changes as soon as they occur, or it could be looking for full-time work. You're also given an account you need to check, and that's usually online. And it's a way of communicating with the job centre. First of all, just make sure you regularly do check your account, complete any tasks in the to-do list, and respond to any messages in the journal.
Okay, so I've got a couple of questions following that. So if your account is online but you don't have access to the internet, what can be done there?
Call them up and explain that you don't have access to the internet. They should be able to read your messages to you. Okay. Alternatively, once things start to reopen, the job centres have computers, the libraries have computers, and you can come into the assistance advice as well.
Okay, fantastic. Could you explain a little bit more about what you mean by tasks? What sort of tasks might you need to complete? And also, I've heard of something called a work coach. Yeah. So what is that?
So the work coach is basically someone at the job centre who will set your claimant commitment. The claimant commitment should be tailored to your own personal circumstances. So if you're having problems meeting it, or if you don't think it's right, if you talk to your work coach. And the tasks can be things like, can you please upload your CV, or can you please tell us what you've been doing to look for work, or can you please attend a meeting with your work coach? Anything basically, it might be to do with work, it might be, can you please upload your latest fit note? So basically, have a look in there and see what they're asking of you and try and do it. And if you need help doing it, contact the Assistance Advice Service.
Okay. What happens if you can't keep up with your claimant commitment?
Talk to your work coach first of all, because your claimant commitment should be tailored to your personal circumstances and it should be reasonable. If you're still having problems, come and see us or speak to us.
Okay. And just to remember that your work coach is there to support you and work with you. And you can always talk to us as well. So we have received a question from somebody who's asked about deductions people might experience when they claim universal credit. What this means is that when people claim universal credit, if they have any court fines, rent arrears, they may owe money for previous tax credit overpayments, for example, even if this was years ago, when you claim universal credit, this can get taken off your monthly universal credit payments. What can we do about this, Dipesh?
Okay, well, the standard rate or the maximum rate of deduction has been 30%, and that's been set by government, so we can't change that. Although, as of last week's budget, that 30% has been reduced to 25%, and any advances can now, as of April, be repaid over 24 months rather than 12. So that's less money taken out of your universal credit payment. If you're still worried about your financial situation, you need extra support, get in touch with our advice team and we can talk you through your options.
Okay, so although we can't affect the actual rate of deductions, it's a government policy decision, we can help if you're worried at all about your finances. We've only got 5 minutes left, so Paul, could I just check whether anybody has asked any questions at all in the comments section?
No, we're all good here. Everybody seems okay at the moment.
Okay, great. So we will carry on. So another question is, I am not a UK citizen. Does this mean I can't claim universal credit or any other benefits?
Not necessarily. It depends on your right to reside in the UK and we can check that for you. It's something we can look at. You might be an EU worker, which would entitle you to benefits, for example, but come in and speak to us or give us a call and we can have a look for you and see if you are entitled to universal credit or other benefits.
Okay, so if you are in this situation, get in touch with us, and there are things that we can do to check what you might be eligible for. Actually, this is a good time to mention that if you're an EU citizen and you'd like help to apply for either pre-settled or settled status post-Brexit to remain in the UK, we can help you with this. Drop us a line. One of our advisors can chat with you about how we can help you to apply for that settlement. Okay, so are there any self-help resources that I can access? And actually, I can answer this. Yes, there are. There's the National Citizens Advice website, which is citizensadvice.org.uk. It's got oodles of information. It's written really simply and it's kept very up to date with any changes. We have an online benefit calculator, which we've mentioned, and there are other self-help tools as well on the Citizens Advice website, such as a budget calculator. It's really easy to use. It takes about half an hour to complete, and it can help you to work out your incomings and your outgoings, keeping up with priority payments such as rent or mortgage, council tax, etc. There's also another website, the Understanding Universal Credit website. So it's not a Citizens Advice website, but it's called understandinguniversalcredit.gov.uk. And there's lots of really helpful information on there. And then finally, what's the best way to contact you? So for a help to claim appointment, for a local video or face-to-face appointment, either send us an email or give us a call. Sometimes our phone lines can get really busy, but if you email us, we can usually come back to you on the same working day. So it's a great way to get a quick reply. All you need to do is go to our website, advicewestsussex.org.uk, fill in a really simple form on the website, press submit. We ask for a bit of information about the problem you're facing, any deadlines that you might be looking at, and somebody is likely to come back to you on the same working day. Or if you're emailing us on the weekend or in the evening, we'll try to come back to you on the next working day. So yes, please visit advicewestsussex.org.uk. Our local advice line number is 0808 278 7969, and that is free phone. So 0808 278 7969. There is also a Universal Credit helpline number, which is 0800 144 8444. It's 0800 144 8444. And if you would like to use the Universal Credit Help to Claim web chat service, especially for Universal Credit, visit the National Citizens Advice website, which is citizensadvice.org.uk, and just search for Help to Claim in the search bar. So I've just noticed we've only got a minute and a half left, so we do need to wrap up. So this has been a really, really quick tour into the very basics of applying for Universal Credit. And there's certainly things that we won't have been able to cover, but you can watch this back on our YouTube channel, on Facebook, or on Twitter. We'll be sharing the links on our social media. And please do share with any family, friends, colleagues who may find this useful. We're going to hope to share as well shorter sections with key information. But please contact us for a private chat with one of our team if you need help. Don't worry on your own. Our advisors are amazing, and we really hope that you'll feel better having talked to us. We'd welcome your feedback on today's session. Leave us a message, let us know how we could improve things for next time, how we could make things more accessible, whether live translation might be useful into a different language or into British Sign Language. Please let us know. And finally, thank you to our expert Dipesh. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you to everyone behind the scenes, and finally thank you to all of you for watching. We really appreciate you tuning in. And follow us on social media to find out about any more live sessions that we might have coming up. And have a lovely day. Thank you.